Have you ever wondered why so many people stay stuck year after year? They read books, they watch videos, they talk about change, but when you look closely, nothing shifts. Why? Because they refuse to face the raw, uncomfortable truths that could actually set them free. Comfort zones feel safe, but they're cages. Real freedom, real growth, begins the moment you stop sugarcoating life and start looking it dead in the eye. Today, I'm going to tell you 20 harsh truths, not to discourage you, not to shame you, but to liberate you, because once you accept these truths, life starts to move. Your mind sharpens, your actions align, and you stop wasting years chasing illusions. But here's the thing. Most people will hear these truths and reject them. They'll defend their excuses. They'll protect their comfort. Will you? Or will you be one of the few who listen, really listen, and allow these ideas to challenge and transform you? Because the truth is simple. Your life will only rise to the level of truths you're willing to accept. The more you deny, the more you stay stuck. The more you face, the more you evolve. So if you're ready, really ready, take a breath and lean in. Let's begin. 1. No one is coming to save you. It sounds brutal, doesn't it? Almost too cold to accept. Because for most of our lives, we've been conditioned to believe that someone will. That one day, someone or something, a mentor, a relationship, a job opportunity, a stroke of luck, will swoop in and pull us out of our struggles, out of our pain, out of our dissatisfaction. Think about it. From childhood, we were often rewarded for waiting. Someone else would solve the problem. Someone else would tell us what to do. And when we grew up, we unconsciously carried that mindset into adulthood. We wait for external permission to change, for ideal circumstances to start, for the perfect moment to take action. But here's the truth. That moment never comes. Life is not a movie. There is no script where a hero enters stage left to rescue you from yourself. There is no scene where the universe suddenly delivers the perfect solution without you first becoming worthy of it through your own effort. The world responds to movement, not hope. It rewards action, not fantasy. The Stoics knew this deeply. Epictetus taught that freedom is found in recognizing what is within our control and what is not, and the arrival of a rescuer entirely outside your control, but your own will, your own discipline, your own decisions, that is yours. That is where true power lives. And yet, so many stay trapped in the opposite mindset. They wait, they hope, they tell themselves, when I have more money, then I'll pursue my dreams. When I meet the right person, then I'll feel worthy. When life gets easier, then I'll finally focus on my health. But all of that is avoidance. The hard truth is, you don't need permission to change, you don't need ideal conditions to act, and you certainly don't need saving. In fact, waiting for rescue is the very thing keeping you stuck. Because as long as you believe someone else must intervene, you give away your power, you delay responsibility, you remain passive in the story of your life. Here's what happens when you fully accept this truth, a profound shift. At first, it stings. The idea that no one is coming can feel lonely. But on the other side of that sting is liberation. If no one is coming, then you no longer have to wait. You no longer have to seek approval. You no longer have to wonder when it will be your turn. It's your turn now, because your life is yours to claim. Look around. The people who grow, the ones who break free from cycles of mediocrity, are not those who waited. They are those who moved despite uncertainty, who took responsibility even when it felt unfair, who faced life with the mindset of, if I want a better life, I must build it, brick by brick. And this is where true Stoic resilience comes in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't writing poetry, he was giving you the key. Your mind, your perspective, your actions. These are your tools. This is where freedom begins. So ask yourself now, where in your life are you still waiting? Where are you secretly hoping that someone or something will come and make it all easier? Identify it, see it clearly, and then choose. Choose responsibility, choose action, choose to be the force that transforms your life. Because when you stop waiting and start moving, you don't just survive, you lead, you rise, you become capable of things you never imagined, and perhaps most importantly, you become the very person you were hoping would save you. That's where your power lives, and it's been there all along, waiting for you to claim it. 2. Life doesn't care about your emotions. It responds to your actions. This is one of those truths that feels almost unfair when you first hear it. After all, we're emotional beings. We feel everything so deeply: joy, sadness, frustration, disappointment, hope. And somewhere along the way, many of us came to believe that life should respond to those feelings. That if we feel sad enough, someone will comfort us. That if we feel stuck enough, the world will send us a sign. That if we feel deserving, success will arrive. But life is not moved by emotion alone. It moves in response to what you do. Reality is indifferent to your inner storms. It doesn't reward how much you cry or how frustrated you feel. It responds to effort. It responds to consistency. It responds to clarity of action. That can feel harsh, but it's also freeing, because it means you're not trapped by your emotions. You're not at the mercy of your moods. You can choose to act, even when you don't feel like it. And when you do, life begins to respond. Think about this. How many people do you know who live trapped by how they feel? They wake up tired, so they skip the gym. They feel anxious, so they avoid opportunities. They feel uninspired, so they stop creating. And day after day, life reflects that back to them. Not because it's cruel, but because that's the law of cause and effect. If you don't move, life doesn't move. If you don't plant, nothing grows. The Stoics taught this with absolute clarity. They didn't reject emotion, they acknowledged it, but they refused to be ruled by it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Notice, he doesn't say what you feel becomes the way. He speaks of action, because through action we shape the world, not through internal narratives alone. Now, this isn't to say emotions are bad. They're signals. They tell us what we value, what we fear, what needs attention. But they're not commands. They're not reasons to stay frozen. If you only act when you feel perfectly ready or motivated, you'll spend most of your life in a loop of hesitation. The key is to move anyway, to train yourself to act through discomfort, because over time, that discipline rewires your relationship to emotion itself. Here's something else to consider. Life is constantly responding to what you teach it through your habits. If you habitually retreat when anxious, life shrinks. If you push forward despite fear, life expands. The signals you send through action are what life echoes back, not the emotions you feel in private. And this is why Stoic discipline is so powerful. It teaches you to act with virtue and purpose, regardless of your emotional state. To show up with consistency, even when your mood wavers. And when you do this, something remarkable happens. Your emotions begin to align with your actions rather than dictate them. You start to feel more confident, more resilient, more grounded, not because life got easier, but because you became stronger. So ask yourself, where in your life are you waiting for emotion to lead? Are you waiting to feel motivated before starting that project? Are you waiting to feel ready before setting boundaries? Are you waiting to feel brave before pursuing growth? What if you flipped it? What if you chose to act first and allowed emotion to catch up later? Because here's the truth. The world isn't waiting to see how you feel. It's waiting to see what you'll do. And when you start moving, when you start planting seeds through disciplined action, life begins to move with you. Not because it cares about your emotions, but because it respects cause and effect. Act, and the world responds. Wait, and the world waits with you. The choice is always yours. 3. You're not exhausted, you're unfocused. How often do we hear this phrase, "I'm so tired, I just can't seem to get anything done"? And sure, sometimes that tiredness is physical. Sometimes your body does need true rest. But far more often, the exhaustion you feel isn't coming from your body. It's coming from your mind. And it's not because you've been working too hard. It's because your attention is fractured. You are spread too thin, chasing too many things at once, constantly pulled by distractions and noise. What you call exhaustion is often a symptom of a deeper disconnection from focus. You see, human beings aren't designed to live in a state of constant stimulation, and yet that's exactly what modern life demands of us. Notifications, emails, social media, endless scrolling, multitasking, all of it divides the mind. It pulls you out of presence, out of clarity, out of flow. And when your attention is scattered, your energy leaks. You feel depleted, not because you've done too much, but because you've done too little of what actually matters. The Stoics would tell us, attend to what is within your control. Be deliberate in how you live. And yet most people are anything but deliberate. They start their day reactive, reaching for their phone, checking messages, getting pulled into trivial concerns. Hours pass, but no meaningful progress is made. And by the end of the day, they feel exhausted. But it's the exhaustion of aimlessness, not of purposeful effort. True fatigue from focused work feels different. It's satisfying. When you've spent hours immersed in deep, meaningful action, writing, building, learning, creating, you may be physically tired, but mentally you feel alive, fulfilled, clear, because your attention was aligned with your values. But constant distraction creates a counterfeit fatigue. You scroll through social media for hours and feel drained. You jump between tasks all day and feel fried. And the mind begins to confuse this overstimulation with real exhaustion. You think, I must need more rest. But what you really need is stillness, focus, simplicity. Consider this. How would your life change if you protected your attention as fiercely as you protect your money or your time? If you started each day by asking, what is truly worth my focus today? If you stripped away the noise and committed to deep, undistracted work? The truth is, most of the exhaustion people feel would dissolve, because when the mind is aligned, when focus is clear, energy flows naturally. This is why Stoics practiced not only mental discipline, but environmental discipline. They were intentional about what they allowed into their space and their mind. Because they understood, what you repeatedly focus on shapes not only your results, but your inner state. So I'll ask you now, where is your attention leaking? Are you trying to do too many things at once? Are you constantly interrupting yourself with distractions? Are you consuming more than you're creating? If so, Your fatigue is not a mystery. It's a consequence. And the solution isn't more caffeine or more sleep. It's clarity. It's the ruthless elimination of the trivial. It's the daily commitment to focused effort on what truly matters. Because when you do this, something powerful happens. Your so-called exhaustion begins to fade. Your mind sharpens. Your energy returns. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped scattering yourself and started living on purpose. Remember this: you are not as tired as you think. You are as distracted as you allow yourself to be. Reclaim your focus, and you'll reclaim your vitality. 4. Time is your only real wealth. You've heard this before, but have you really grasped it? Most people say they understand that time is precious, but when you look at how they live, it tells a different story. They guard their money, they chase status, they accumulate possessions. But time, they waste it freely as if it's endless. Hours lost to distractions, days spent on meaningless tasks, years gone in relationships and environments that drain them. And then one day, they wake up and realize the most valuable currency they ever had is gone. Here's the truth most avoid. Money can be earned, lost, and earned again. Status comes and goes. Even health can sometimes be restored. But time, once a moment passes, it is gone forever. You will never be 25 again. You will never be 35 again. You will never have this exact day again. And how you spend your time defines who you become, not what you claim to value. The Stoics were relentless about this. Seneca wrote in On the Shortness of Life that it is not that life is too short, it is that we waste so much of it. He said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Most people live as if they will never die. They procrastinate. They put off their dreams. They act as though tomorrow is guaranteed, but it is not. And facing this truth doesn't create fear. It creates urgency. Because once you truly accept that time is finite, everything sharpens. You stop tolerating the mediocre. You stop wasting hours on things that add no value to your life. You stop saying yes to obligations that drain you. And you start living with intention. You choose your work, your relationships, your daily habits with care. Not out of fear, but out of deep respect for life itself. Ask yourself, if someone gave you $10,000, you'd probably think carefully about how to spend it. You'd prioritize, you'd avoid wasting it. Yet every single day, you are given 86,400 seconds. And how much of that do you spend deliberately? How much of it do you guard from the trivial? One of the most life-changing shifts you can make is to start treating time like the irreplaceable asset it is. Imagine if every morning you woke up and thought, today is a non-renewable resource. I will never get this day again. How can I make it count? That mindset alone will transform how you live. And here's something even deeper. The quality of your time is more important than the quantity. Many people live long lives, but they spend those years in passive existence, trapped in habits, consumed by distraction, disconnected from purpose. Others may live fewer years, but their days are rich with meaning, presence, and contribution. The Stoic question is not, how long will I live, but how well will I use the time I am given? So where does this leave you? You can keep living like time is infinite, drifting through days, tolerating distractions, putting off what matters. Or you can wake up. You can recognize that your time is your life, and that how you spend your time is how you spend yourself. This truth is liberating, because once you own it, you reclaim power. You become ruthless with what you allow into your life. You prioritize what matters. You stop waiting for someday and start living today. Remember this, you will run out of time. That is inevitable. But whether you run out full of regret or full of life, that is your choice. 5. Growth requires discomfort. This is one of those truths that everyone says they understand, but very few truly embrace. We live in a world obsessed with comfort. Everywhere you look, there's an option to make life easier, faster, more convenient. Instant food, instant entertainment, instant gratification. And over time, this conditions people to believe that if something feels uncomfortable, it must be wrong. That if a path is hard, it's not meant for them. But the opposite is true. Growth, real, lasting growth, is only born through discomfort. Think about anything you've ever truly achieved. Did it come without effort, without uncertainty, without facing fear, doubt, or resistance? Of course not. Whether it was building a skill, improving your health, overcoming adversity, or healing from a setback, discomfort was part of the process. It had to be. Because growth requires stretching beyond your current limits, and by definition, that is uncomfortable. The Stoics embraced this fully. They saw adversity not as punishment, but as opportunity. Epictetus wrote, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." Why? Because when you are tested, your character is revealed. When life challenges you, you discover what you are truly capable of, not when things are easy, but when they are hard. And yet modern culture teaches the opposite. It tells you to seek ease, to avoid struggle, to chase happiness through comfort. But here's the paradox. The more you chase comfort, the weaker you become. And the weaker you become, the more life overwhelms you. Even small challenges feel unbearable. On the other hand, when you willingly choose discomfort, when you lean into difficult conversations, pursue challenging goals, face your fears, and build discipline, you grow stronger. You expand what you can handle. You build resilience. And that resilience gives you a deeper sense of confidence and peace than comfort ever could. Here's something to reflect on. What do most people regret later in life? It's rarely the discomfort they experienced. It's the opportunities they avoided because they were uncomfortable, the dreams they never pursued, the boundaries they never set, the truths they never spoke. All because they wanted to avoid temporary pain, and in doing so, they traded it for long-term regret. The Stoics remind us the obstacle is the way, not the thing to avoid, the thing to embrace. Because on the other side of discomfort is growth, new strength, new wisdom, new capacity. Every time you avoid discomfort, you shrink. Every time you face it, you expand. So ask yourself honestly, where are you avoiding discomfort right now? Is it a conversation you need to have? A goal you've been postponing? A truth you're afraid to face? A change you know you need to make? Here's the key. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the discomfort to disappear. It won't. The only way through is through. And when you move through it, when you lean into the resistance, you change. And here's the beauty. Discomfort is temporary, but growth is permanent. The pain of stepping outside your comfort zone fades, but the strength, the clarity, the confidence you gain, those stay with you. Remember this, the life you want lives on the other side of discomfort, not in avoiding it, not in wishing it away, but in facing it, one choice at a time. So choose discomfort, choose growth, choose the path that challenges you, because in doing so, you choose to become more than you are today. 6. You will outgrow people and places. It's one of the harder truths to accept, because it feels personal. You start to change, to evolve, to pursue growth. And suddenly, certain friendships feel heavier, certain environments feel suffocating, certain conversations no longer feed your mind or your spirit. And at first you might wonder, what's wrong with me? Or why do I feel disconnected from people I once loved being around? But the answer is simple, and it's not betrayal, it's evolution. As you grow, you will outgrow. That's not arrogance. It's a natural part of human development. Who you were 5 years ago is not who you are today. And if you are serious about becoming your highest self, then 5 years from now, you won't be who you are today either. And that means some relationships, some environments, will no longer align with your path. But here's where many people get stuck. They cling, out of loyalty, out of guilt, out of nostalgia. They stay in friendships that no longer serve their values. They remain in environments that drain their energy. They keep playing small to fit into the expectations of people who are no longer growing alongside them. And slowly, their growth stalls. Their potential is stifled, not because they aren't capable, but because they refuse to release what no longer fits. The Stoics were clear about this. They taught that life is in constant flux, that we must embrace change, not resist it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change. To fight that change is to suffer. To flow with it is to evolve." And yet, we often romanticize the past. We tell ourselves, "I owe it to them," or "I can't leave this place. It's been part of my life for so long." But ask yourself, do you owe your future to your past? Or do you owe it to the person you are becoming? Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for others is to let go, to allow relationships to complete their season, to honor what they gave you, but not remain out of obligation. Because when you cling to what no longer aligns with your values, you dishonor both your growth and the authenticity of the connection itself. And this applies to places too. Certain environments feed your spirit, others shrink it. You must be ruthless in choosing where you spend your time, because your surroundings shape your mindset, your habits, your energy. If you stay too long in an environment that no longer fits your evolution, it will start to pull you backward. Here's what I want you to remember. Outgrowing is not abandonment. It's not betrayal. It's life. It's growth. And it's necessary if you are to honor your potential. You can love people deeply and still choose a different path. You can be grateful for a place and still move forward. And often, by releasing what no longer fits, you create space for new connections, for environments that nourish your next level. But that space can't open until you have the courage to let go. So ask yourself now, where are you holding on too tightly? To relationships that drain you? To places that stifle you? To versions of yourself that no longer align with who you're becoming? Remember this, not everyone is meant to walk your full journey, and that's okay. Some people were there for a season, a chapter, a lesson. Honor that, but don't let it chain you. Growth will ask you to make room, to release, to evolve, and when you do, you step into the life that truly belongs to you. Not the life shaped by past attachments, but the one aligned with your present values and future vision. Let go and grow. 7. Boundaries are the foundation of peace. If you want more peace in your life, more clarity, more energy, don't start by chasing external calm. Start by setting stronger boundaries, because without them, your energy leaks. Your attention is scattered. Your days become reactive, not intentional, and very quickly your inner world reflects that chaos. Most people misunderstand boundaries. They think of them as walls, as harsh or selfish acts. But in truth, boundaries are the opposite of selfish. They are acts of clarity, of respect, both for yourself and for others. When you set clear boundaries, you teach the world how to engage with you. You define what you will allow, what you will not tolerate, and where your time and energy will go. Without boundaries, life becomes a constant negotiation. You find yourself saying yes when you mean no. You tolerate behaviors that drain you. You engage in conversations that steal your focus. And over time, resentment builds. Not because life is unfair, but because you haven't honored your own limits. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus taught, "Keep your will in harmony with nature." And part of that harmony is knowing what aligns with your nature and what violates it. Boundaries are the practical expression of this wisdom. They are how you live your values, not just speak them. Think about your own life. How many times have you felt overwhelmed? Not because you were doing too much, but because you were doing too much of what didn't truly matter to you. How many times have you sacrificed your peace to avoid disappointing someone else? How many times have you let guilt override your own well-being? Every time you do, your energy fractures. Your days fill with obligations that aren't aligned with your deeper purpose. And peace becomes elusive, not because you lack the capacity for peace, but because you've allowed too many things to invade your space. But here's the good news. Boundaries can be reclaimed. You can start today. It begins with clarity. What do you truly value? What kind of life do you want to live? What kind of energy do you want to cultivate? When you know this, boundaries become easier to define. And here's something important. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They're about controlling yourself, your choices, your agreements, your actions. You can't force someone to respect you, but you can choose whether or not to remain in situations where respect is absent. Setting boundaries will feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've spent years people-pleasing or avoiding conflict. But that discomfort is temporary. The peace that follows is lasting. Because when you live in alignment with your values, without constant leakage of energy, your mind becomes clearer. Your body feels lighter. Your relationships become more authentic. Not everyone will like your boundaries. Some will push against them. Some will try to guilt you back into old patterns. But remember, anyone who benefits from your lack of boundaries is not invested in your growth. And your loyalty should always be to your highest self, not to comfort, not to approval. So I'll ask you now, where in your life do you need stronger boundaries? Where are you saying yes when you should be saying no? Where are you allowing your time, your mind, your energy to be consumed by things that do not serve your well-being? Remember this, peace is not something you find, it's something you create. And boundaries are how you build its foundation. Protect your space, guard your energy, honor your values, and you will find that peace is not somewhere out there. It is within you, waiting to be reclaimed. Choose it through the boundaries you set today. 8. You become what you repeatedly do. It's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever hear, and one of the easiest to ignore. Because on the surface, it sounds simple. Your habits shape you. But when you truly reflect on this, it changes everything. Because it means you're not defined by your intentions, your dreams, or even your potential. You are defined day by day by what you repeatedly choose to do. Look at your current life, your mindset, your body, your relationships, your skills, your level of peace. All of it is the cumulative result of your daily actions. Not the big, dramatic moments, but the small, often unnoticed choices you make every single day. Do you start your mornings with purpose, or with distraction? Do you feed your mind with wisdom or with noise? Do you speak with intention or react out of impulse? Do you move your body or neglect it? Do you confront hard truths or avoid them? Every one of these small choices matters, because what you do repeatedly, you become. It shapes your identity, whether you're conscious of it or not. The Stoics were deeply aware of this. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, "You become what your thoughts make of you, and those thoughts are reflected in action." You cannot think yourself into a new life. You must act yourself into one. But here's where many people fall into a trap. They underestimate the power of small habits. They think, it's just one skipped workout. It's just one night of scrolling. It's just one negative conversation. But repeated once, twice, 100 times, and suddenly that small habit is your life. The same is true in reverse. One small act of discipline, repeated daily, rewires your mind. One daily choice to pursue growth compounds into transformation. One boundary enforced consistently reshapes your relationships. Identity is built not in grand gestures, but in the invisible architecture of daily behavior. This is why many people feel stuck. They chase external change, a new job, a new relationship, a new location, but bring the same habits, the same patterns with them. And unsurprisingly, they recreate the same life. Because the external cannot outpace the internal. Until your habits change, your life will not change. And the good news, this truth is incredibly empowering, because it means you don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You don't need to become perfect. You simply need to start acting in alignment with the person you want to become. One choice at a time. Want to be more disciplined? Start by keeping one small promise to yourself each day. Want to be more confident? Start by taking one action that challenges your fear daily. Want to be more peaceful? Start by practicing one moment of presence daily. Over time, repetition builds identity. The more you act like the person you wish to become, the more you become that person. It's not magic, it's alignment. So ask yourself now, what are you currently becoming? If someone observed your habits, your routines, your speech, your focus, what would they predict about your future? Would they see alignment with your highest values? Or would they see drift, distraction, and avoidance? And if the answer isn't what you want, good. That awareness is power, because from this moment forward, you can choose differently. You can design your habits to reflect your values, not your impulses. You can become intentional, not accidental. Remember this, you are not your potential. You are not your intentions. You are what you repeatedly do. Choose wisely, because your future is being written in your daily actions. 9. Most people don't care, and that's your freedom. It's a liberating truth once you fully accept it. Most people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. They're not obsessing over your mistakes. They're not replaying your awkward moments. They're not analyzing your every move. Why? Because they're consumed with their own lives, their own worries, insecurities, and struggles. And yet, so many of us live trapped by the illusion of constant judgment. We hesitate to speak up in a meeting because we fear what others might think. We avoid pursuing a passion because we're worried someone will criticize. We wear masks to fit in, sacrificing authenticity for approval that was never being withheld in the first place. But here's the truth. Most people aren't watching you closely enough to care, and the few who do, their opinions change like the wind, fleeting, inconsistent, based more on their own inner state than on any objective truth about you. The Stoics taught this with clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The opinions of others? Outside your control. The narrative you hold in your own mind? Entirely within your control." But modern life reinforces the opposite. Social media thrives on perceived judgment. Likes, comments, algorithms, all designed to keep you hyper-aware of how others are responding to you. And over time, this conditions the mind to seek validation and avoid risk. You begin to live for optics instead of substance. Here's what happens when you release this illusion. You reclaim energy. You reclaim courage. You give yourself permission to act, to try, to fail, to learn, without the constant weight of imagined judgment. You move through life lighter, freer, bolder. Because when you truly understand that most people are focused on themselves, you stop living for their approval. You stop diluting your expression to fit expectations that probably don't even exist. You stop postponing your dreams, waiting for the perfect audience or the right applause. And ironically, this is when people start to notice. When you stop trying to be noticed. Authenticity is magnetic, but it's born in self-trust, not in public validation. Think about this. How many opportunities have you avoided out of fear of judgment? How many conversations have you silenced? How many dreams have you shelved? And what has that cost you in growth, in fulfillment, in peace? Now, imagine this instead. You act boldly, not recklessly, grounded in your values, aligned with your truth. You take risks, not because you're fearless, but because you know the only thing holding you back was imagined perception. You move through life with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing. Most people are too focused on their own journey to fixate on yours. This isn't permission to be careless, it's an invitation to be courageous, to live aligned with your highest self, not with the shifting opinions of others, to prioritize growth over approval. And if criticism does come, so what? As Epictetus said, "If evil be said of thee and it be true, correct thyself. If it be a lie, laugh at it." You are not here to manage every perception. You are here to live fully, to grow boldly, to contribute authentically. So ask yourself now, where in your life are you holding back because of imagined judgment? What would you do? How would you live if you truly embraced the freedom that comes from knowing most people simply don't care as much as you think? Remember this, the cage is imagined, the key is in your hands. Use it and set yourself free. 10. What you consume shapes what you think. Most people underestimate just how deeply they are shaped by what they take in, every day, every hour. And I'm not just talking about food, though that matters too. I'm talking about everything, the books you read, the videos you watch, the conversations you engage in, the social media you scroll through, even the background noise you allow into your space. All of it programs your mind. All of it influences your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, often in ways you're not consciously aware of. You see, the human brain is remarkably adaptive. It mirrors what it's exposed to. Just as your body reflects the quality of the food you eat, your mind reflects the quality of what you consume mentally and emotionally. And this is why so many people today feel anxious, distracted, restless. It's not simply because life is more stressful, it's because they are constantly feeding their minds a diet of low-quality, hyper-stimulating, and often toxic input. Endless streams of outrage, negativity, gossip, comparison, superficial entertainment. You can't expect to feel grounded, focused, and wise if you are constantly absorbing content that promotes the opposite. You can't expect clarity if your mind is overloaded with noise. Garbage in, garbage out. It's that simple. The Stoics understood this deeply. They were deliberate about what they allowed into their consciousness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." In other words, you become what you dwell on, and what you dwell on is largely determined by what you consume. Look around at your life. What fills your mental diet? Are you regularly reading works that challenge and expand your thinking? Are you engaging in conversations that elevate you? Are you consuming media that deepens your understanding of the world, or that simply distracts and drains you? This is not about moral superiority, it's about mental hygiene. Just as you wouldn't eat junk food every day and expect to feel physically strong, you can't feed your mind junk and expect to think clearly or live wisely. And here's something else. Consumption is not neutral. Everything you take in either strengthens your mind or weakens it. It either brings you closer to the person you want to become or pulls you further away. There is no neutral input. This is why a disciplined media diet is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect. It's not about avoiding reality. It's about choosing what deserves space in your consciousness. It's about filtering ruthlessly, guarding your mental environment with the same care you would give to your physical environment. Imagine this. If your mind were a garden, what are you planting in it daily? Seeds of wisdom, curiosity, courage, or weeds of fear, comparison, distraction? The harvest you reap tomorrow depends on what you plant today. So I'll challenge you now, audit your inputs. Look at what you consume, not occasionally, but repeatedly, and ask, is this helping me become wiser, stronger, more peaceful? Or is it feeding anxiety, distraction, and small thinking? And remember, you have more control than you think. You can choose to curate your environment. You can choose to limit what drains you and increase what nourishes you. You can design a mental diet that supports your highest values. Because in the end, what you consume shapes what you think, and what you think shapes who you become. Choose your inputs. Choose your future. 11. Discipline will take you where motivation can't. Here's a common trap that keeps people stuck. They believe they need to feel motivated in order to act. They wait for inspiration. They chase the perfect mood. They tell themselves, when I feel ready, then I'll start. But the truth is, motivation is fleeting. It's a spark, not a fuel source. If you rely on it, you'll remain inconsistent, because no one, not even the most successful people you admire, feels motivated all the time. What separates those who build an extraordinary life from those who merely dream about it isn't motivation, it's discipline. It's the ability to show up consistently, especially when you don't feel like it. To do the work when no one is watching. To honor your commitments on the hard days, not just the easy ones. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't glamorize passion or hype. They valued steadiness. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," meaning the mental resistance to action is often greater than the action itself. The antidote? Discipline, taking the next right step, regardless of how you feel. Now let's be clear, this isn't about becoming robotic or denying your emotions. It's about mastering your relationship with them. It's about recognizing that feelings are visitors. They ebb and flow. But discipline is a choice you can make again and again, regardless of what mood shows up that day. Think about any area of your life where you've made real progress. Did it happen because you were constantly motivated, or because even on the off days you kept moving forward? The writer who finishes a book didn't do it because they were inspired every morning. They did it because they wrote, even when the words came slowly. The athlete who transforms their body didn't do it because they loved every workout. They did it because they trained when it was inconvenient. The entrepreneur who builds a thriving business didn't do it because every day felt exciting. They did it because they showed up through uncertainty, setbacks, and boredom. This is the difference discipline makes. It builds momentum. Each time you act in alignment with your goals, regardless of how you feel, you strengthen self-trust. You teach yourself that you can be counted on, and that creates an inner confidence no external motivation can replicate. Here's the irony. When you stop waiting for motivation and start building discipline, you often feel more motivated, because momentum breeds energy. Action creates clarity. The simple act of doing consistently shifts your state far more than sitting around waiting for the right feeling. Now, this isn't about perfection. You will have off days. You will miss a step. But discipline is about what you do most of the time. It's about returning to the path quickly when you drift. It's about holding the standard, not chasing an ideal of flawless execution. So I'll ask you now, where in your life are you waiting for motivation? What dream, habit, or goal have you postponed, telling yourself, I just need to feel ready? And what would change if you stopped waiting? If you committed to disciplined, consistent action starting today. Remember this, motivation is nice when it's there, but it is unreliable. Discipline, on the other hand, is freedom. It liberates you from the tyranny of fleeting emotions. It empowers you to create a life of substance and integrity. So choose discipline, build it one small act at a time, and watch how far it takes you, far beyond what motivation alone ever could. 12. You don't have to control everything to be at peace. It's natural to want control. We seek it in our routines, in our relationships, in our future plans. There's a part of the mind that believes, if I can just control all the moving parts, then I can finally relax. Then I'll feel safe. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control, the more anxious you become, because life, by its very nature, is unpredictable. You can't control other people. You can't control outcomes. You can't control every twist and turn of your journey. And the harder you grip, the more life resists. You start micromanaging situations. You obsess over what people think. You replay conversations, trying to edit them in your mind. You future trip, worrying about scenarios that haven't even happened. And in doing so, you exhaust yourself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus taught, some things are in our control and others are not. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference, and peace lies in aligning your effort with that wisdom. This doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean resignation. It means you do your part, fully, diligently, but you release attachment to what is beyond your influence. You take responsibility for your actions, your mindset, your integrity, and you allow life to unfold as it will. Think of it like this. Trying to control life is like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you open your palm, the water can rest naturally. In the same way, when you release the compulsion to control, life flows more freely. You move with it rather than against it. This is especially vital in relationships. You cannot control how others think, feel, or behave. You can communicate clearly. You can set boundaries. You can act with integrity. But beyond that, their responses are their responsibility. When you try to control others, to force them to change, to make them see things your way, you create tension and frustration. But when you release that need, you create space for genuine connection, for acceptance, for peace. And this applies to your own journey as well. You won't control every outcome. Some plans will fall apart. Some efforts won't bear fruit in the way you expected. And that's okay. What matters is that you act in alignment with your values, not that you guarantee a certain result. Peace isn't found in having everything go your way. It's found in knowing that no matter what happens, you can handle it. That your worth isn't tied to external outcomes. That your serenity comes from within, not from perfect circumstances. Ask yourself, where in your life are you gripping too tightly? What are you trying to control that isn't yours to control? And what would shift if you released that grip? If you focused instead on what is truly within your power? Remember this: surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the mature recognition that life is too vast, too dynamic to be controlled, but it can be navigated with clarity, with grace, with resilience. When you stop needing to control everything, you create space for peace to enter. You free your mind, you open your heart, and you discover that the very peace you were chasing through control was available to you all along, through letting go. Choose that peace. It is closer than you think. 13. You teach people how to treat you. It's one of the most empowering and confronting truths in life. You might not always be able to control how someone behaves, but you absolutely control what you tolerate through your actions, your words, your boundaries, or your lack of them. You teach others what is acceptable in your world. And this teaching happens constantly, whether you're aware of it or not. Every time you allow disrespect to go unchecked, you teach someone that you'll accept it. Every time you overextend yourself without setting limits, you teach others that your time and energy are freely available. Every time you silence your needs to avoid conflict, you teach people that your needs don't matter. On the flip side, every time you enforce a boundary, you teach respect. Every time you communicate clearly, you teach that your voice matters. Every time you walk away from toxicity, you teach that your peace is non-negotiable. The Stoics would say, be tolerant with others, but strict with yourself. This isn't about harshness, it's about integrity. You cannot control the behavior of others, but you can and must control your own standards. Too often, people fall into the trap of hoping others will just know how to treat them. They wait for kindness. They hope for understanding. But hope is not a strategy. Clarity is, and clarity is expressed through consistent action. Think about a relationship in your life where you feel unseen or undervalued. Ask yourself, have you clearly communicated your boundaries? Have you consistently enforced them, or have you sent mixed signals, tolerating behavior that violates your values? It's not about blame, it's about ownership. You are the gatekeeper of your life. The standards you uphold teach others how to engage with you. And if someone continues to disregard your boundaries after you've clearly set them, that tells you something about their respect for you, and it gives you the information you need to make aligned choices. Now, setting and enforcing boundaries isn't always easy. It will feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to people-pleasing or avoiding conflict. But discomfort is temporary. The self-respect you build is lasting, and over time, something powerful happens. Your relationships shift. The ones that cannot honor your boundaries fall away. The ones that can deepen in authenticity and mutual respect. This is the foundation of healthy relationships, not unspoken expectations, but clear, conscious agreements. And it starts with you. When you respect yourself enough to uphold your boundaries, you invite others to do the same. You model self-worth. You embody integrity. So ask yourself now, where in your life have you been teaching the wrong lessons? Where have you tolerated behavior that drains you? Where have you failed to enforce your own standards? And more importantly, what can you choose today to begin teaching new lessons? Lessons rooted in respect, clarity, and self-worth. Remember this: people will rise or fall to the standards you consistently uphold. Teach them well, not through demands, but through your example, through the quiet, unwavering message your boundaries send. This is how I honor myself, and I expect nothing less from those around me. Choose that level of self-respect, teach it, and watch how your life transforms. 14. Most advice reflects the speaker, not the truth. In a world overflowing with opinions, books, podcasts, social media, endless voices telling you what to do and how to live, it's easy to forget one essential truth. Most advice says more about the person giving it than it does about universal truth. People speak from their own lens, shaped by their upbringing, their wounds, their beliefs, their limitations, their values, their fears. They project what worked for them, or what they think would work for them, or sometimes what they wish they had the courage to do themselves. And if you absorb advice without discernment, you risk living a life that isn't truly yours. The Stoics were clear on this. Epictetus taught, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." In other words, cultivate self-knowledge before adopting the opinions of others. Without this grounding, you become easily swayed, chasing conflicting advice, constantly doubting yourself, losing touch with your inner compass. And this is everywhere today. One person says, "Quit your job and follow your passion." Another says, "Stay practical and play it safe." One says, "Discipline is everything." Another says, "Flow with life and surrender." Who is right? It depends on who they are, where they are in life, and what they value. This doesn't mean advice is useless. On the contrary, wisdom often comes from learning from others. But it requires discernment. You must filter advice through the lens of your own values, your current season of life, your unique path. What works for someone else, even if they're wildly successful, might be completely misaligned for you. Here's where people get stuck. They assume that because someone speaks with confidence, their advice must be truth, or because someone is accomplished in one area, their views must be applicable in all areas. But confidence is not wisdom. Success in one domain does not equal mastery in all domains. And sometimes advice is projection in disguise. A person who gave up on their dreams may urge you to be realistic, not because it's best for you, but because it soothes their own regret. Someone who thrives on risk might push you toward recklessness, not because it aligns with your values, but because it validates their own identity. This is why self-knowledge is your greatest filter. The more you know who you are, your core values, your vision, your priorities, the easier it is to discern which advice resonates and which doesn't. You no longer take every opinion as gospel. You listen openly, but selectively. You remain curious, but grounded. And this also invites humility. Just as others speak from their lens, so do you. Your truth is not the truth. It's your truth. And the more you recognize this, the more open you become to dialogue, to growth, to learning, without the need to impose or defend. So ask yourself, what advice have you been absorbing without reflection? Are you living choices that truly align with your values, or that reflect someone else's expectations or worldview? Where might you need to return to your own clarity rather than outsourcing your decisions to external voices? Remember this: most advice reflects the speaker more than the truth. Filter wisely, ground yourself deeply, and live from your own alignment, not from borrowed beliefs. Because in the end, your life is yours alone. Choose to shape it consciously. 15. Overthinking is a form of self-sabotage. You might tell yourself that you're just being careful, that you're planning wisely, that you're being responsible. But if you're honest, deep down, you know when thinking crosses the line into overthinking. You know when it stops serving you and starts paralyzing you. And here's the hard truth: overthinking isn't wisdom. It's a defense mechanism, a way to avoid action, a way to stay in the illusion of safety. Because as long as you're thinking about the decision, you don't have to make the decision. As long as you're analyzing every possibility, you don't have to risk failure. As long as you're spinning scenarios in your head, you don't have to face the discomfort of the unknown. But here's what that costs you: momentum, progress, clarity. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking alone. It comes from doing, from taking a step, seeing the result, adjusting and learning. Action refines thinking, not the other way around. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." In other words, act. Stop spinning in thought. Embody the values you claim to hold. Clarity follows action. And yet, modern life conditions us to overthink. We're flooded with information. Every choice feels weighty. We fear making the wrong move, so we endlessly research, analyze, compare, hesitate. But life isn't lived in theory. It's lived in motion. And here's something few people realize. Overthinking often disguises deeper fears: fear of judgment, fear of imperfection, fear of loss. The mind convinces you that more thinking will bring certainty. But the truth is, certainty is rare, and waiting for it guarantees stagnation. Think about a time when you finally acted after weeks or months of overthinking. How often did the experience turn out different, often easier, clearer, more manageable than you had imagined? The mind amplifies fears that action often dissolves, and overthinking also erodes confidence. The longer you stay in analysis mode, the more doubt grows. You start questioning yourself. Your self-trust weakens, and ironically, the very thing you hope to achieve, a wise decision, becomes harder to reach. So what's the antidote? Action. Imperfect, courageous, informed action. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You need to begin to figure it out. Each step teaches you more than endless theorizing ever could. Here's a mindset shift. Instead of asking, "How can I be sure this is the right move?" ask, "What is the next best step I can take with what I know now?" And then take it, evaluate, adjust, move again. This is not recklessness, it's wisdom in motion, because life rewards those who are willing to engage with it directly, not just think about it from the sidelines. So I'll ask you now, where are you stuck in overthinking? What decision, action, or conversation have you been postponing, telling yourself you just need a little more time to figure it out? And what would shift if you chose action instead? Remember this: overthinking is a form of self-sabotage. It convinces you that you're being productive when you're actually avoiding life. Choose action. Choose momentum. Choose to live, not just to think about living. Your clarity, your confidence, your growth, they're waiting for you on the other side of motion. Step into it. 16. You can't heal where you were hurt. It's a difficult truth, but one that liberates the moment you truly accept it. Sometimes healing requires leaving, not because you're weak, not because you're running away, but because some environments, relationships, and patterns are so deeply tied to the pain you carry that staying in them only keeps the wound alive. Here's what happens when you remain in the same place, physical or emotional, where the hurt occurred. Your nervous system is constantly reminded of it. The sights, the sounds, the dynamics, even subtle cues, they all reinforce the story of the wound. You might tell yourself, "I can handle it," or "I'm stronger now." But if the environment still triggers the same emotional responses, it makes true healing nearly impossible. The Stoics understood this in their own way. They taught that while external events are beyond your control, you must be wise about what you expose yourself to. You wouldn't knowingly walk through fire expecting not to be burned. In the same way, remaining in toxic environments out of stubbornness or misplaced loyalty only prolongs your suffering. Now, this doesn't mean blaming the environment for all your wounds. Healing is your responsibility. But it also means being honest about what supports your healing and what undermines it. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, a relationship remains unsafe, a job remains depleting, a city remains a source of anxiety. And in those cases, the bravest, wisest act is to step away. Think about it like this. Healing is like planting a seed. For that seed to grow, it needs fertile soil. If you plant it in rocky, toxic ground, no matter how much sunlight you give it, it will struggle to thrive. The same applies to your own growth. You need environments that nourish your peace, your resilience, your sense of possibility, not ones that constantly reopen old wounds. Many people resist this truth. They stay where they were hurt out of guilt, obligation, or the hope that things will change. But healing isn't about forcing others to change. It's about taking ownership of your well-being. And sometimes that means making hard choices, walking away from what is familiar but unhealthy. And here's the deeper truth. Leaving doesn't mean erasing the past. It means creating space for a new future. It means giving yourself the gift of a fresh environment where new patterns can form, where new parts of yourself can emerge. You don't heal by endlessly revisiting the same cycle. You heal by stepping into new cycles that reflect who you are becoming. Ask yourself now, where are you trying to heal while remaining in the same conditions that caused the hurt? Is it a relationship where the dynamic hasn't truly changed? A workplace that still undermines your worth? A community that reinforces your old identity? And what might become possible if you allowed yourself to leave, not in anger, but in self-respect? What if you chose healing over loyalty to the past? Remember this, you can't heal where you were hurt. You can learn from it, you can grow beyond it, but true healing often requires new soil. Honor your growth. Choose the environments that align with your healing and release the ones that don't. In doing so, you give yourself the chance not just to survive, but to truly thrive. 17. Your attention builds your identity. Most people don't realize just how powerful and how precious their attention truly is. In fact, it might be your most valuable resource. Why? Because what you consistently focus on shapes how you think, what you believe, how you feel, and ultimately, who you become. Your attention is like sunlight to a plant. Whatever you shine it on, whatever you repeatedly give your mental and emotional energy to, grows. And over time, that growth defines your identity. Focus on fear long enough, and you become anxious. Focus on resentment long enough, and you become bitter. Focus on growth and discipline, and you become resilient. Focus on gratitude, and you become peaceful. This is why the Stoics placed such emphasis on directing the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He understood that what you habitually dwell on, you eventually embody. It becomes your nature. And yet in modern life, attention is constantly under siege. The digital world profits from capturing and hijacking your focus. Algorithms engineered to keep you scrolling, headlines designed to provoke outrage, endless notifications pulling your mind in 100 directions. And if you're not deliberate, your attention is fragmented, scattered across trivial things that do nothing to serve your growth or well-being. The result? You feel disconnected, anxious, reactive, not because life is inherently chaotic, but because your mind has been trained to dwell in chaos. But here's the liberating truth. You can reclaim your attention. You can choose what you focus on, and in doing so, you can consciously build the identity you desire. It starts with awareness. Ask yourself, where is my attention going day to day? What am I feeding my mind? What conversations am I engaging in? What content am I consuming? What inner dialogues am I rehearsing? If the answers reveal a focus on negativity, fear, distraction, it's no mystery why you feel stuck. But the good news is, you can shift this. You can train your attention toward what serves you through intentional practice. This might mean beginning your day with reflection or journaling rather than diving into a screen. It might mean curating your environment, removing toxic inputs and surrounding yourself with wisdom and inspiration. It might mean setting boundaries around how much attention you give to drama, gossip, or mindless noise. Because here's the key: identity isn't static. It's dynamic. It's built moment by moment by what you choose to attend to. Want to become more disciplined? Focus on habits of discipline. Want to become more courageous? Focus on examples of courage. Want to become more grateful? Focus daily on what you appreciate. Over time, these repeated attentions reshape your mind, and by extension, your life. And remember, where your attention goes, your energy follows. If you constantly focus on what's missing, you feel lack. If you focus on what you can control, you feel empowered. If you focus on opportunity, you feel motivated. So I'll ask you now, are you using your attention to build the identity you desire, or are you unintentionally reinforcing the very patterns you want to escape? Reclaim your focus. Direct it with intention, because what you feed grows, and your future self is being built by what you focus on today. Choose wisely. You are shaping who you are with every moment of attention you spend. 18. Confidence comes from consistency, not comfort. So many people chase confidence. They want to feel bold, assured, unstoppable. They think if they can just feel more confident, they'll finally take the big leap, pursue the dream, speak their truth. But here's what they miss. Confidence isn't something you magically feel first. It's something you earn through consistent action, through showing up over and over again, even when it's uncomfortable. And this is where most get stuck. They wait for comfort. They think, when I'm more ready, when I'm less afraid, when things are more certain, then I'll act. But life doesn't work that way. Confidence is not born from sitting in safety. It's forged in motion, in risk, in doing the hard things before you feel fully prepared. The Stoics knew this deeply. They didn't believe in waiting for ideal circumstances. They believed in virtue through action, in showing up with integrity regardless of external conditions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In other words, stop waiting for external certainty or internal comfort. Build strength through what you choose to do. And here's the key: confidence compounds. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you send a signal to your mind. I can trust myself. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you reinforce that trust. And over time, this self-trust becomes unshakable confidence. Not arrogance, not bravado, but deep inner knowing. I can handle what comes. I can rely on myself. Now contrast this with the comfort trap. The more you avoid discomfort, the more fragile your self-trust becomes. You subconsciously teach yourself, when things get hard, I pull back. And the more you do this, the more your confidence erodes. Because confidence cannot coexist with chronic self-betrayal. This is why discipline is so powerful, not because it's glamorous, but because it builds trust. Every time you wake up and do the work, even when you'd rather stay comfortable, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. Every time you lean into the hard conversation, the challenging workout, the focused project, you expand your capacity. And that capacity is what confidence truly is. Not feeling fearless, but knowing you can act in the face of fear. Not needing certainty, but trusting your ability to navigate uncertainty. So if you want more confidence, stop chasing it through comfort. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start acting with consistency. Show up for your habits. Honor your word. Move toward growth, not away from it. And here's something powerful. The very act of choosing discomfort, of stretching your limits, begins to shift how you see yourself. You no longer identify as someone who hesitates. You see yourself as someone who acts, someone who is resilient, someone who builds rather than avoids. Ask yourself now, where have you been waiting for confidence before taking action? And what might change if you flipped it? If you chose action first, knowing that confidence will follow? Remember this: comfort is addictive but fleeting. Consistency is uncomfortable at first, but transformative. And the life you want, the person you want to become, is built through the discipline of showing up, again and again, especially when it's hard. Choose consistency over comfort. That is where true confidence lives. 19. People remember how you made them feel, not what you said. It's tempting to believe that the impact we leave on others comes from our words, the clever things we say, the advice we give, the points we make. But in reality, that's not what lingers in people's hearts. Long after your words are forgotten, the emotional imprint you left remains. People remember how they felt in your presence, whether they felt seen, valued, respected, inspired, or diminished, dismissed, overlooked. And this is a truth many people overlook, especially in a world obsessed with being right. You can win an argument and still lose respect. You can give great advice and still leave someone feeling judged. You can impress with knowledge and still leave no lasting warmth. The Stoics understood this subtle but profound truth. They didn't seek to dominate others intellectually. They sought to live with integrity and to treat others with virtue. Epictetus taught, "Be tolerant with others, strict with yourself." Meaning, hold yourself to the highest standards of character, but approach others with kindness, patience, and understanding. Because here's what matters: how you carry yourself in moments of tension, how you listen when someone is struggling, how you show up when no recognition is guaranteed. In those moments, the emotional tone you set leaves a deeper mark than any polished phrase ever could. Think about your own life. Who are the people who left a lasting impression on you? chances are it wasn't because of some perfect sentence they spoke. It was because of how they made you feel: safe, empowered, understood, encouraged. And the same is true for how others will remember you. You don't need to be the smartest in the room. You don't need to impress everyone with your knowledge. But if you can be the person who brings calm to chaos, hope to discouragement, clarity to confusion, that is a legacy far more valuable than being right. Now, this requires mindfulness. In a fast world, it's easy to default to reactivity, to interrupt, to advise too quickly, to seek validation by proving your point. But presence is more powerful than performance. When you slow down, when you truly listen, when you engage with genuine curiosity and respect, you create an atmosphere where others feel valued. And this isn't about being overly agreeable or false. It's about integrity, about aligning your actions with the values you wish to embody, about remembering that how you make others feel is an extension of who you are becoming. So ask yourself, how do people feel after interacting with you? Energized or drained, seen or ignored, respected or judged, inspired or discouraged? And more importantly, what small shifts can you make today to embody the presence you want to offer to the world? It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistent, conscious choices, a moment of true listening, a word of encouragement, a tone of patience. Because in the end, people may forget what you said, they may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that is where your deepest impact lives. Choose to make it count. 20. Live for your future self, not for immediate comfort. Every day, with every choice you make, you're casting a vote, not just for who you are today, but for who you are becoming. And the hard truth is, many people trade their future peace, strength, and success for the fleeting comfort of the moment. It's easy to do. In fact, modern life encourages it. Skip the workout. It's more comfortable to rest. Scroll for another hour. It's easier than focusing. Postpone the hard conversation. Avoiding discomfort feels better now. But every time you choose short-term ease, you quietly tell your future self, you'll deal with the consequences. And those consequences compound. The health you neglect today becomes the struggle of tomorrow. The boundaries you avoid setting now become the resentment you carry later. The dreams you delay become regrets. The Stoics taught us to think long-term, not in fear, but in wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Instead, be concerned only with how you may best use the present to shape the future." In other words, live each day as an act of preparation, of alignment with the person you wish to become. And here's the liberating truth. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You simply need to start making choices, small, consistent ones, that your future self will thank you for. Ask yourself, how will I feel tomorrow if I make this choice today? How will this action or inaction shape the life I'm building? Does this serve the future I want, or does it simply soothe the discomfort of the present? Because here's the reality. Life will ask for payment. You can pay now, with effort, discipline, discomfort, and earn long-term freedom. Or you can avoid the payment now, but the debt will come later, often with interest. And this applies to every area of life. To your health, move today so your body serves you tomorrow. To your mind, learn today so your thinking sharpens over time. To your relationships, invest today so trust and depth can grow. To your purpose, act today so fulfillment can take root. And here's something beautiful. The more you live this way, the more natural it becomes. You begin to identify as someone who honors their future self. The short-term temptations lose their grip. The deeper satisfaction of integrity and progress becomes its own reward. Of course, this doesn't mean denying all pleasure or living in constant sacrifice. It means discerning what is true nourishment versus what is cheap escape. It means asking, will this choice move me toward the life I want, or away from it? So I'll ask you now, what is one area where you've been prioritizing immediate comfort over long-term growth? And what is one choice you can make today, however small, to shift that pattern? Because in the end, your future self will live with the results of today's decisions. You can choose to make those results a source of pride, not regret. Live today for who you want to become. Choose discipline over ease. Choose alignment over avoidance. Choose the life that 1 year from now, 5 years from now, will make you pause and say, I'm grateful for who I chose to be. That is the path of wisdom. That is the path of true freedom. So now you've heard them, 20 harsh truths. Some of them might have felt uncomfortable. Some might have resonated deeply. Others might challenge the way you've been living. And that's exactly the point. Because truth, when it's real, doesn't coddle you. It calls you higher. It strips away illusions. It confronts you with what you need to face, not what you wish were true. And when you have the courage to accept these truths, something shifts. You stop waiting. You stop blaming. You stop postponing the life you know you're capable of living. And here's what I want you to remember. Knowing these truths isn't enough. Plenty of people hear wisdom and do nothing with it. The ones who change, the ones who rise, are the ones who act, who take these truths and let them shape their daily decisions, who live them, not just admire them. So today, as you walk back into your life, ask yourself, what am I going to do differently? What will you release? What will you choose? What will you build? Because in the end, no one is coming to save you. Life won't wait for your motivation. Time is slipping by, one moment at a time. But you are here. You are capable. You are ready. Lean into these truths. Let them sharpen you. Let them guide your next step. And as you do, you'll find something powerful. Freedom. Not the shallow freedom of avoiding discomfort, but the deep, unshakable freedom that comes from living with clarity, with discipline, with purpose. And if you found value in this episode, if it stirred something in you, I invite you to stay connected. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and keep returning to the path. Because growth is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong choice. Choose it, starting now.